everybody, this is Nuoance, and today we're doing something a little different as I have been requested more than once now to do a more in-depth tutorial on VR chat for beginners. So if you are just starting out VR chat, or maybe there are some settings in the menu that you don't really know about, minus the super complex ones, this will be a good spot to just kind of stop and see what everything does. In absolutely no way whatsoever am I trying to pretend that I know what I am talking about when I don't know what I'm talking about. I've been playing this game for a long time, so I do know a little bit, so while this won't be completely explaining every little tiny bit that's in the menu, it will be explaining most of it, and anything that I don't know, I will warn you ahead of time. Starting out, though, is I was asked to do movement mechanics specifically for the quest. Now, I'm used to doing the index, but I do have a quest, so we're going to actually jump right into that headset and start recording from there. Hello everybody, this is Nuoance. As you see, I am in the flesh, and today I just want to start out with going over a tutorial on how to navigate VR chat, specifically using the quest as the example as requested. So you are seeing me in the flesh so I can get up close and personal with you guys so you can see all these little buttons. Now, I am in a very specific world for this tutorial because there are things that some worlds have, some worlds don't have, but just B Club does have. So just in case you get a little stuck or confused, this may prepare you. After this, it'll be going into menu exploration, but that'll be on the index because this headset hurts me. So let's just start with the absolute basics. Now, obviously, you can move like this and just move up to where this button is. However, if you see here, you see I have my controllers. I gotta find you guys. There is going to be a thumbstick on your left controller that when you move it, it moves your person. This thumbstick on your right controller turns you. So together, you can navigate yourself wherever you need to go. Get out of there. I'll use you in a second. Secondly, we have the buttons on the bottom. We have A, which allows you to jump. We have B, which opens up your menu. We have Y, which also opens up your menu. And then we have X, which mutes you. I don't know if you can see that on the quest, but in the corner, you can hear it. That is the mute button. That means you cannot talk in-game. You also have the trigger. Your triggers let you grab things within worlds. Also, I am so sorry that this video is a bit on the bright side. I'm white, in case you haven't noticed, and it's daytime out. So even though my windows are closed, the reason I want to bring this world up is because this world has touchscreen UI. There are a lot of worlds that have touchscreen buttons now versus just actual clicking. If you have your menu open and you look here, you will see you have this little laser. Now you can use the same button we talked about before, the clicking button, to open up anything that you need to be opened. And this is a great way to navigate. This is the absolute basics. However, for some worlds, instead of that, you have to actually go up and you have to touch them. So, if you are unable to figure out what you need to do, that is what you do. And pretty simply, how you make the button option is you take these two little triggers and you hold them down. And now I have fingers. See? No fingers, fingers. No fingers, fingers. Hello again, everybody. We are now out of VR to make it easier for you to see the menu, and let's just go over what everything says. First, we're going to start out with just the basic menu, which you can see right here. We have the quick links, and we have the quick actions, and we have our wings. We also have this fun little piece at the top that just gives you some information about what's going on inside of VR chat, and you can click it to learn more. So to start out, I'm going to do the quick overview, and we will go into detail what each of these tabs do later on. We have in the quick links, we have the worlds, which is where you can discover worlds. Avatars, where you can see your avatars that are favorited or uploaded. Social, where you can see all of your friends and, the people you have added. Groups, which is a new feature, and that's where you can find all the people that are in your group, see where they are, see if there's any instances, etc. And in the quick actions, we have Go Home, which will, if when selected, take you to your home world or the standard VR chat home world. Respawn, which takes you back to the spawning point in whatever instance you're in. Select user is what you use to be able to, select a user. We'll go into that later. And changing your shield level. Following that, you also have the wings, which are right here. You can select what these are for ease of access. So on this one, I had worlds, and this one I used to have as my dysfunctional family friends list. I also can do murder mystery list, or just online, or my boys. It could change to whatever you want, but you could do, you know, your own profile. You could have groups, you could have avatars, worlds. You can have a bunch of different stuff that you could have set up here. Here at the bottom left, you have a mute button, so you can mute and unmute yourself. And on the complete opposite side, you have safe mode. Now, safe mode, as you can see, it has non-friends will be muted, avatars will be blocked, all avatar features disabled. It'll just, in general, it's a safe mode. It'll make it so you aren't able to see anything. That could possibly be a danger. I don't use it often, but there is a hotkey to turn on safe mode. I don't remember what it is, though. And finally, at the top right, you can open this up to open your main menu. You could also do this through anything else like the worlds or social. You could go through there for any way, but that's just for you to know. As you can see, though, we are in the launch pad. This is the main area. It'll show where you've recently played with, what worlds you've been, updated worlds that you have that are favorites. So, like, I use this a lot for my FNAF videos. This is a great way to tell if it's been updated. Who you have that are on that you've seen recently, which is funny because I haven't seen either of these two super recently, but okay. You can also see how many people are online in general, how many friend requests, how many invites, all that jazz. Right next to it is your notification tab. Your notification tab is a place where you see your notifications. So like I had a thing for a world hop that I didn't go to. Whoops. Some Vrchat stuff. I have some friend requests that I will probably never answer. You could also see your invites, your invite requests, any reply messages, group invites? Oh no, this is, yeah, okay. I've seen it. That's just, so if you get an announcement, you can see it here. I don't know what others is, honestly. I don't know what other notifications I could get. And then you could edit your messages here. Right up next to it is the profile page. This is the page of your profile. So this is what people see when they look at you. So for me, they can see my background profile. They can see my little VRC Plus badge. They can see my status, my rank, my bio that has all my information on it. All of my links to my main content pages, my 2 badges. Are we gonna get more Vrchat? Let me know. You can see what groups I'm in. I'm in quite a few. And right next to that is the World tab. Now the World tab is pretty self-explanatory. It is where you can go to look for worlds. Right off the bat, these are all my worlds. It's showing all the worlds that I've uploaded, but you can check your recently visited to see what you've recently been to. You can look at updated favorites, which is, as I said earlier, a place where if a world you have favorited updated, it'll let you know here, which I think is a very useful tool. You can also look at favorite worlds to go back to worlds that you liked before, and that goes all the way down. And when you scroll all the way down, you can go to featured worlds, which is all these different kinds of worlds that have all different things that you can look at that they may think you're interested in or are very popular. This is a very useful tool because not only does it show you a lot of new things that maybe you haven't seen before, but it also shows you locations and what kind of tags they are. So for example, this is like a game tag, so it must be a game. A classic is like an older world that's been here for a while. Active is obviously active, etc. You also have all the other options like trending, which is usually where people are. As you can see, a lot of people, are. You can see Spotlight PC, so since I'm on my PC, it shows me PC worlds. Spotlight cross-platform, so it shows worlds that are having activity that are both PC and Quest friendly. New worlds are the worlds that have passed the Community Labs test and are now public for your viewing pleasure. These worlds have been at some way vetted, so they are supposedly safer and are more trusted to be used, but I still haven't gotten that real view pool to be able to be seen, on the top of the list. And so if you're looking for something that's been brand new, you want to be ahead of the gang. Oh, this is cute. But yeah, if you're trying to look at new worlds, get ahead of the grain, this is a great way to do it. But however, right next to it is Community Labs. The important thing about Community Labs is these are quote-unquote unvetted worlds. I don't know the full process of moving something from Community Labs to the new or basic tab. Simply put, when you look up worlds, you have to actually select to put in Community Labs as an option. Otherwise, it will not show you Community Lab worlds. Community Lab worlds are worlds that were just uploaded and haven't gotten enough, what's that word? They haven't gotten enough traffic, that's the word I'm looking for, to be able to be considered an actual world. This is to try and avoid Vrchat having issues with people, making crashing worlds, unfair worlds, dangerous worlds, etc. So people like me who are willing to risk that we'll go in, have fun, and if we don't report it, eventually it'll go out of community to new. And if it doesn't, it'll just be stuck in limbo or it'll be taken down. I will go more into world search after I look at the rest of the world tab. Until then, though, we are going to be going to random, which is, as it says, random. It just randomly selects a bunch of different worlds that maybe have made it past the community lab, but haven't really gotten a lot of views. So occasionally you may see a world that has like 1 or 2 people in it, but for the most part, these are worlds that are not very popular, and they want to get attention by somebody else. So I recommend checking these out as well, because even though looking at new and community lab is great, there may be something that you just haven't seen yet. We also have, once again, updated recently, but instead of your favorites, these are updated recently in general. So you'll see a lot of worlds just kind of pop up here all the time because people are always updating their stuff. And it's another great way to see if, like, maybe there was a world that you kind of looked at, but you didn't favorite, and you were like, maybe if it gets an update, I'll look at it again. You can see it here. We also have active cross-platform, which is different from Spotlight cross-platform, I guess, because active is more active than Spotlight. But we also have avatar worlds, which is where you can find avatars. So if you are not ready to upload your own avatars, or you don't want to upload your own avatars, this is a great way to find some stuff and get a lot of free avatars that you could just enjoy. They've got a bunch of different stuff from like anime, video games, other things. There's also the game tab, which is my favorite tab because it's got a bunch of games you can play. You got things like Among Us, Murder, Smile Room. Sometimes these tabs have options that aren't really fully games, so I'm sorry, Lucifer, love your stuff. Winter Company I wouldn't consider a game world. There may be some games in it, but it's more of a chill world. But for the most part, you'll find a lot of games in here that you could play that are really fun. Most of them will have warning tags. So for an example, this is a great one. The Waiting Room, it has audio and visuals that may cause anxiety or mental distress. Yeah, it was scary. You can also see here down the tags, but we'll go into that later. I'm getting ahead of myself, I'm sorry. Finally, we have classics. Classics are the worlds that have been here for a while or have gotten so popular they are considered a staple of Vrchat. Great example, Black Cat, Room of the Rain, Drinking Night, Japan Shrine, Midnight Rooftop. All of these worlds are very, very popular or very, very old. Some of these worlds are so old I've never been there, or I've only been there long before I started my VR adventure, like open mic night. These are great places to kind of go back in time and see what Vrchat was like back then versus now, or just see what things people like to look at. Alright, because I'm biased, we're going to be using Drinking Night for the world in-depth example. So when you click on a world, you will get to this menu. First off, we have the instances all on the right here. These instances are just multiple places that you can go, and they have the amount of people who are in that instance at the time. Now, by my personal experience, they have not been consistently updated, so while this one may say 25 people, it may have more, it may have less. The amount of times I've went to a world expecting to be able to record some good stuff for my Roxy video and found like only one person when they said there was 11 has been a lot. So just kind of keep that with a grain of salt. Expect that if you see 1 or 2 people, it may actually be nobody because they've already left, but it just hasn't updated yet. At the top though, we have Drinking Night by Vrchat. Take a shot for that because I know that they've made a bingo board about how many times I bring up Drinking Night or Vrchat or The Devouring. Well, guess what? I said all 3. Anyway, at the top you'll see the name of the world. Right under it, you'll see who it's by. You'll also see it right here, who it's by. That's the master of the world. You can see how many people are in. Once again, this is updated infrequently. You can see the world instance number. So if for some reason you're trying to look for the specific number, there it is. I never use it, but I'm sure somebody does. Another important thing to mention is right here, you're going to see 2 dots. The blue dot is PC. The green dot is Quest. If they are both on, both PC users and Quest users can get on. If it's just green, only Quest can use it. If it's just blue, only PC can use it. That is the easiest way to explain it. So if you have a Quest, you cannot go into a world that's only blue. If you have a Quest but you can connect it to your PC, then you can. There you go. Pretty simple. Anyways, join means you can just join this exact instance. Drop portal means you can drop a portal to that exact instance. And pretty simply, we're going to drop the portal there. Click. Now anybody can walk through it. We'll go over more portals in a minute, but just so you are aware. Click. Getting into the actions, this might take a little bit more time. We're going to start out with the new instance. A new instance is a new, well, instance of the world. And by instance, I mean in layman 5th grade term, you are making a completely new world that nobody has been in yet. So when you make a new one, it just means that there's nobody there. You will be the first person there. There are different instant types that you can do, starting with public, which means that once you make a public instance, as you saw on the list, there was like 2 or 3 people in some of these. That's because they made a public instance, because they're hoping people will join, but they don't want to join on the ones with 42 or 38 people. The next option is Friends Plus, which means that your friends and your friends' friends and their friends can join. So as long as somebody's a friend of somebody in that instance, they are able to join in. And this is a great way to kind of get like a pseudo public without having to worry about getting too public. Next up is Friends, which means that only people who you have added are able to join. So if somebody wants to join the world, but they do not have you added, they are not able to join, and your friends cannot send them an invite. So just remember that these two are very, very different. One, anybody can join. The other, only people who know you can join. Next up, we have Invite Plus and Invite, which are very similar to Friends Plus and Friends. However, while these 3 can be seen publicly, Invite instances cannot be seen publicly. So if I'm going to use as an example, let's go to social, you will see that this guy is in a public, oh no, they're in a Friends Plus drinking night, even better. So I can see from here that they are in a Friends Plus. However, if I scroll down to my friends list down here, you can see all these people are in a world that I cannot see. This means that it is either Invite Plus, Invite, or possibly could be groups. However, if it was groups and I was in the groups, I would see that as well. So when you make an Invite and Invite Plus world, you are making a world that other people cannot publicly see when they look at their friends list. Nobody knows where you are unless you send an invite to them, or they send an invite and you accept their invite request. Invite Plus means that anybody can send an invite and anybody can accept the invite, so you have more control than Friends Plus, but still not a lot of control. And Invite itself means only you can invite people. This means that once again, it's only your friends, but instead of them being able to freely join, they have to ask your permission first. And last but not least, we have the group option, which means that if I wanted to make a group instance, let's say for my Discord server Converse, join if you haven't, I could click it, I could make it as whichever one I want, I could make it how everybody can join, or I could make it so only certain people can join. And let me click next. I can then set it as the instance so people who are part of Converse can see that this is the main one. I can select the region and then I can create instance. And that means now anybody who's within the Converse group could then jump in at any time and up until people, leave the world and then there's nobody left. So that is a great way to be able to, without having to add people to an event if you're having some kind of party or world hop or whatever it may be. This is a great way to do it. Last but not least, obviously, you have your region options. So I am from Florida, so I have US East, there's US West, there's EU, and there's Japan. I don't know if they're planning on adding more in the future, but we're getting there. This button here is, well, for me, it's remove from favorites. But if I looked up another world, it would be add to favorites. So let me just... There we go. I can now add it to any of my favorite lists that I have here. I have favorite worlds, 2, 3, or 4. You can change the names however you want. As you can tell, I don't care enough. So I can just add it here. It's added to my favorites. So if I go into my world tab, I can look at my favorites and it'll be in there. And right there, right at the very top. Next up, at the very beginning, I told you in the quick links, there was a button that took you home. Now, home is your location that you will spawn in at the very beginning of every single time you open up the game. For me, it's Rainbow Retreat. For other people, it may be Vrchat's default world, and for some, it may just be Drinking Night. So, if you want to make a world your home, all you have to do is click Make Home. Note, you cannot do this with worlds that are not publicly available, so if you find a world that a friend made that you had to get invited to because it wasn't public, well, sorry. We'll get into that for a minute. Next up, we have View on Website. It's pretty much the same thing. It's just more details that you can see. If you just click on this, it'll take you to a web page on whatever browser you use. That'll just give you, once again, more information. And at the very end of the actions, you have Report World. Now, while I know Rakshaw gets this enough, we're going to be using her as an example, but I won't go all the way through with it, obviously. When you report a world, you want to make sure that you are reporting it for a legitimate issue. For example, if the world has avatars that you can clone and these avatars are not appropriate for public use, you would report it for avatars. If the environment has hate speech or some other thing that's inappropriate, you would report it for environment. If it had, once again, hate speech or hateful imagery, you would report it for text or world image. Make sure to use these sparingly because I'm pretty sure, like every other thing that you can report on, you can get in trouble if you're doing a bunch of false reporting. This obviously works for people as well, but we'll get into that later. Scrolling down a little bit, you do have the About This World tab. This is where the creator of the world can put information, so if you are curious about what the world is like without actually going into it, that's how you tell. You can also get more in-depth details like how many people have visited, how many people have favored. Ooh, almost at 100,000. Congrats. You can see when it was published, when it was updated, how big it is, how many private instances there are, how many public instances there are, and how many friends there are in those worlds. I'm assuming these are for friends only? Question mark? I'm not 100% sure about that actually, because I've never really looked at that. Under the tags, you have different tags that they can make, so it'll be able to tell, once again, in a quick way, what the world is like. So it's fun, it has drinking involved, drinking night, games. So if you go to the game tag, you may see it there. And then finally, you have the author, which you can look at later. You have more from the author, which you can see all of their public worlds they have, and that's the end of the World tab list. And you know, it's really unfortunate because I remember saying I will cover something regarding worlds later, and now I completely forget what that something later was. So remind me in the comments because I know I'm gonna edit this video. I'm gonna be like, dang it, I forgot the thing. Whatever. I remembered, never mind. Let's go to uploaded worlds. So I was bringing up earlier about how you cannot make home worlds that are not public. A great example is, let's use the Rec Room After Party Val world. This is a world that I repurposed to be able to use for my company's end of the month parties, and it is a private instance. So if I try to make a new instance, because it is my world that I've uploaded, I have the option to make any of these options. However, if I was not the creator of the world, and somebody sent me to a world that was theirs that I couldn't actually do anything in, I wouldn't have these options because it is not mine. When you go to worlds that are not public, you can visit them and you can look at them and you can interact with them, but you cannot favorite them, you cannot make them your home, you cannot make new instances of them. All of that control goes strictly to the creator themselves. All that we have left in the World tab to look at is search world options. They do have some quick world search option buttons that you can just kind of shuffle around for some reason. I don't know why that's an option. Cool. And you just look at them. Haha, climbing. So I can click on climbing and we'll add that to the bingo board. Since I love climbing, I can use these tags to know if a world has a climbing mechanic or not. So for example, using the climbing Colossus as the example, I know this world has climbing, but now that it also has the tag climbing in it, I'm able to know, hey, I can climb in this map. You can do this with pretty much any of these tags. We've got like karaoke. You can see that there's karaoke options in here. You can just, once again, I guess a shuffle is just so you can see at the top, but really there's a lot that you can choose from. We got World Jam. That was a good time. But yeah, that was pretty much the last of it when it regards to searching worlds, and that kind of gave us a sneak peek to later down this line. You also have some options for actions and how you list things. Oh, it's disgusting. And how you can, you know, once again list it. All that stuff you can mess with yourself, but I'm not going to really go into the nitty-gritty of it because, I mean, that's just, that's basic computer understanding. I think you can understand what sorted by name, active, friends, and last updated is. Next up, we have avatars, and this is where things get a little confusing, but not too bad. Avatars is pretty much what you use to be able to play in the game. As you can see right here, this is the avatar that I am currently using. However, I remember you could do this in the past. There it is. You can go to your fallback avatar, and this is the avatar that I'm using as a fallback. Now, an important thing it says right here is fallback avatars are used when viewing the main avatar is restricted due to platform or performance. Simply put, the avatar that I am using now is not a quest compatible avatar. So if you are using a quest alone, this means that this avatar cannot be seen by quest users. So instead of that, they would see this avatar. This also works if you have your security or your safety settings set up in a certain way so that if this avatar is not in a good enough performance rank for you or doesn't meet your parameters of what you think is a good performance, it'll automatically block it and show that. You could also just not show fallbacks, which is what I do, so I see everybody as like little ghost mannequin people, but it's all based on preference. As you can see here, just like before, you have some avatars that are PC VR only, you have some that are PC and Quest, and you have some that could be just Quest, but since I'm on PC, I don't really have any of those, so it just doesn't have the blue, it's just green. When you're looking at a model, you can click on it to see a full wraparound of what it looks like, and you can see all of the information about said model here. For example, the height, you can see changing into the avatar, which obviously means you change into the avatar. I can unfavorite or favorite, and then finally I can view avatar details. This is probably the most important part about this entire avatar bit, is the avatar details, because this will actually help you get in or out of certain events. While in most cases, if you're just public hopping and minding your own business, it doesn't really matter what kind of avatar you use if you care about optimization or want to make sure people see you automatically, or if by any chance you start building yourself in Vrchat to the point where you want to make friends and go into events that are more private and not publicly available, they may require you to wear avatars that are more optimized. Now, I don't really do this for my events, but there have been some events that I've had where I required people wearing a good or medium avatar just to make sure that not everyone's dying if it was a sponsored one, like with my job. So when you look down here at avatar details, when you see as I click different avatars, they will have different colors, they'll have different buttons, it'll all look, you know, a little different depending on what you're looking at. And each one means something different. I will show a picture now of what each one means, but there are, I think, 5. There is excellent, good, medium, poor, and very poor. Each one has their own requirements that you have to meet both in Quest and PC to be able to use it and hit that parameter. If you, for example, saw an avatar that was very poor, or poor like this one, I could click on the avatar details after looking at the person to see exactly what makes it so poor. You can see how big it is, you can see where I got it from, you can see when I uploaded, and I can also see the information about it. It's PC only, it's an SDK3 avatar, it has eye look, and it has Visemes. Shows the author, and it also shows what is going on with the performance. So it's got less polygons than necessary, but it's got more meshes, it's got some materials, it's got a lot of fizz bones. It's got a lot of bones, it's got a lot of stuff. So overall it's not bad, but it's not great. The tags are pretty similar to how the world works. You have recently used, which are avatars I've used recently. You have uploaded, which are the ones that I've uploaded myself. You have all my little favorites right here, 1 through 4, and then VRC plus 5 and 6, or 4 and 5. Okay, you have the fallbacks, which as I mentioned before, is just kind of a much more optimized version of avatars, as well as some free ones that you can get if you don't have your own uploaded. And then you have other, which are ones that are uploaded from a different website. Now, I'm not going to get into all this because realistically, if you want to look that up, either a video later down the line or something else, but pretty much there are websites that work with Vrchat that will upload things for you, and they're kind of creepy. I don't know why this is here though. Why are you here? Here's the public option as well to see a bunch of free public avatars that you can look at without having to world hop if you really don't want to take the time to look for avatars in the public world. You have some legacy avatars, which, yeah, they're an option. And then you can look at avatars that are popular and avatars that are random, just like in the world thing. So go out there and look for your own avatars and be happy. Next up, we have the social menu. Now, we've mentioned the social menu a little bit, but now we're going to go more into detail about it. So looking at my social menu, I am going to go back to my world section just so I can click on, where'd you go? There you are. So I can click on my dear friend Vrchat here because I'm going to be using her as an example because, you know, I like to torment the people that watch my videos, as well as the fact I don't want to just click somebody random who might mind showing their profile. I've already went over the profile before, but for social sake, this is how you see somebody else's bio that is, you know, not yours. You can see the worlds they've uploaded, but it doesn't show the avatars or the favorites or anything like that. I could go on the website and look at them if I wanted to look at more. I could unfavorite my friend, I could unfriend, I could ban or report, blah, blah, blah. I could add a note about them. I could invite them to a group, or I could give them Vrchat Plus if they didn't already have it. Now, this is a very important thing for you e-boys out there who want to be able to get a girl's attention. Let me tell you, it doesn't work. It never works. You'll get the intention, but it's just a transaction. Don't do it. Going to the social menu, this is where you will be able to find the friends that you already have, or you could also use this to be able to manage how you want to be interacted with. For example, I have my status here, where I've cleared out my friends list, and I can change my status whenever I want, but I'm going to keep it as I cleared out my friends list because, well, I'm still doing it. Anytime I get on, if I see somebody I don't remember, I'll delete them, and I'm sorry if you're one of those people, no hard feelings, you just gotta do it sometimes. Besides the point, we have 4 different status options that you can have. Join Me, which is the blue status, means that if you are in a private world, unless it is an invite only and you do not have the invite capabilities, or it's a group only and you do not have the group invite capabilities, people can just request to join off you and you will automatically say yes. You will not even see the join request. So only do this when you are expecting anybody and everybody to be able to join at you whenever you want. And yes, that means the person that you awkwardly added like 3 nights ago and don't remember them, but you remember they made you uncomfortable. They will join. Next, you have the online option, which is similar to Join Me, which in the fact of you can be able to be seen where you are when you're in public instances. However, in private instances, you manually can accept their requests rather than it just automatically accepting without your know-how. This is just another way to be able to take care of who you want to be and cultivate your experience with who you see online. Next up though, probably the most popular within Vrchat is the Orange Ask Me. The Orange Ask Me means that even if I'm in a public world, even if I'm a world that anybody could join, if somebody wanted to specifically see me, they would not know where I was unless they requested it. A lot of people do this because it just makes them have an ease of mind, but there's a lot of debate on that. The video for the future? Who knows? Simply put, if you do this, it'll always hide your location and people will always have to ask to join, even if you're in a place that anybody can join. And last but not least is Do Not Disturb, the literal opposite of Join Me. Nobody knows where you are, automatically denies any requests, and you will never hear a thing. I should be doing this a lot when I'm streaming, recording, etc., but I never do, so you get my notifications with me at real time. But this is just a great way to not get any friend requests, not get any join requests, not get any kind of requests, because they will all be automatically deleted. And yeah, if you see somebody on this, don't even bother try to join on them because they won't see it. Next up, we have user search. So if you wanted to look somebody up for whatever reason, Vrchat, you're just the one of the day. You're able to just click on it and be able to see, you know, that information we saw before. It's really great. It's good to see. And then after that, you have group locations. Obviously, because most of these groups aren't really either, if the ones are mine are not active right now, like we're not doing anything because it's 3:02 p.m. and the other ones are all private. I'm not going to really see any instances to my knowledge, but hey, I may be wrong. Nope, no instances. Once again, that goes back into the world thing where you can make an instance, and this is where you'd see where said people are for said instance. So if I was having a Converse party and I said we're playing Among Us, join the Converse instance, you would go to the instance and you would join it. Alright, now that that's all out of the way, we have a lot less to look at for the friend locations. First up, we have friend locations. I meant to say socials in that first one, but we'll ignore that. Friend locations is your friends' locations. I've talked about this before. If you're in, these two are in green, so I'm able to see where they are. These people are in orange. This one's on blue, which means I could maybe request off them and I would get an invite back as long as they weren't in an event or a invite-only world. Online friends is your full list of online friends and see who everybody is on at the same time. And you just scroll down, you can click on them, look about them, learn about them, whatever that is. In room will show everybody who is in that room at that exact instance. Obviously, since I'm by myself, because it'd be kind of weird if somebody was in the room with me, the room has one person. And then last but not least, you have your little groups. I've named them, unlike my worlds and avatars. So I have my boys, which are my IRL friends, Murder Mystery, which are my Murder Mystery friends, and Dysfunctional Family, which is the Dysfunctional Family friends. We also have the offline list if you really want to just go through all that, I guess, and pop off. And then you have the block list, which we're not going to look at because why would I show that in the video? Next up, we have groups. We've already talked about groups, we've already seen groups, but just in case, we'll go over a little bit more on groups. We're going to be using Converse as the example, starting with an announcement page. It will show any announcements that are made. I should get rid of this, but whatever, I don't know if I can. We have the instances, which are how many instances are for said event. We have the gallery, which could be, you know, pictures of said event. Listen, I just made the group, alright? And then we have the group info, which is what you look at to learn more about the group. So you can see that mine is a public one. We have 61 people. It's English primarily. There's the Discord link to join the Discord server. There are 7 people on that are in this group. I don't know how I could check that. And then all the, you know, group rules. Very simple, very self-explanatory. Very great. Join Converse today. Next up, we have safety settings, which is probably the most important part of this entire video. I know originally this was asked for me to do so you could understand how to do basic mechanics, and this is probably the base of mechanic that you need. And that's why it is in the middle of the video, so you have to watch all of it to get this important information. Not because I didn't plan this ahead and I'm ignoring all of the lists that I made and, you know, to the right of me. How the shield level works is it can determine how protected you are against other people. And protection may be a wrong term to use because that implies that everybody's out to get you. But in simpler terms, not a lot of people optimize their avatars. Not a lot of people understand that computers all have different runnings. A lot of computers work really well, a lot of computers don't work well. So by having it set up like this, you can customize it to best fit you. For example, for me, I have it set up that everybody has their voice and their icons, but I cannot see anything of theirs, minus friends. So if I'm in a world with a lot of friends, I'm usually dying. But you can also have preset ones like maximum, which has friends all on, and then for everybody else, it's just voice, and then for known and trusted, it's avatar and user icons. I don't know if I fully agree with that, but whatever. We have normal, which is just a little bit more, and you can see each one. You have none, which means nothing is sacred, and this is for true chaos. This is if you have a computer that is strong enough to handle it. Enjoy yourself. Going into that though, you may see I've been clicking these different buttons, and you may be wondering, what do these mean? Well, these are different ranks of different players, so when you go around and you look up people's name tags, you may see they might have a white name tag, or they might be blue, or green, or purple, or orange, or, yellow for your friends. This is just a way to categorize how long a person's been playing, and it's supposed to theoretically mean somebody's trust. So as it says at the bottom, I visitors / I are newcomers that have not yet earned any I/I trust and cannot yet upload content. They can earn I/I trust by spending time in VRchat and making friends. Visitors I/I trust I/I visitors have the least amount of avatar features viable to other usable on the normal safety settings. New users, they've earned enough trust to be able to upload avatars and worlds and etc., but they may not be fully available on the normal shield whatever. We have user, who are probably the longest in terms of actually ranking up. You stay in user for a long time. Or at least you used to. I don't know anymore. I've been trusted for God knows how long. But user is just somebody who has been spending more time in VRchat and starting to build a lot of trust with the imaginary, program algorithm that's telling you if you're doing good or not. Known user has been there for a while. They have friends, make content, blah, 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 blah. And trusted user are people who have been in VRchat for a super long time, or, had the money to buy VRchat Plus and get known user immediately. It all depends. You really can buy your way to success. Some of the popular ways to rank yourself up is by making friends, uploading content, and just in general having fun. The more worlds you visit, the more people you talk to, the more people you add, the more things you create, the more avatars you favorite. I don't know if that one's true or not, but I assume because you're doing stuff, it will help you rank up. So it's simply just the more you do, the more you get. Besides for the safety settings, these literally have no other uses, minus from visitor to new user, which just means going from not being able to upload anything to being able to upload stuff. So if you enjoy arbitrary hierarchy systems, there you go. Enjoy it, I guess. Last but not least, we have the custom shield level, and this is where I'm going to go into detail of what each of these things mean. Now, obviously, you could just read the bottom with its amazing italicized options, but I'll just give a quick summary if you're too lazy to do that, because I get it. Voice pretty much means the talky talk. You hear me now? If I had this off, you wouldn't hear me now. Or, if you had it off, you wouldn't hear me now. This is the actual voice of somebody. So you could realistically deafen an entire group of people. I could go to visitor, which a lot of people do, and they just pretend they don't exist. It's kind of harsh, but that be them things. Avatar is a default one. It hides the avatar. It hides the full avatar. It doesn't matter what any of this stuff is. It just hides it right off the bat. User icons is a little thing above people's heads. If you have VRC Plus, you'll see it up there. It's just a little picture. You can hide the picture if you want to. I don't really understand why this had to be its own separate option, especially when there's already an option somewhere else. But hey, I'm not working for VRchat yet. Next up is audio, and you may think that audio and voice may be the same thing, but they're actually not. A lot of avatars do have some audio that they put on the avatars to be able to do some kind of skit or joke or meme or whatever. So for example, if it's, let's say, a Pokemon trainer who's throwing out a Bulbasaur, when they throw the Pokeball, it may make that shunk sound, and then the Pokeball hit the ball and then go Bulbasaur. So if you have avatar audio off, you will not hear that. You could still see the whole animation, but you will not hear a single bit of audio from that avatar. And following that is lights and particles. Once again, bringing up the Pokemon example, if let's say when you threw the Pokeball, there was like some glitter or like a little explosion when the Pokeball opened, that is a particle. Or if an avatar has a light on it for like a flashlight or something, that's a light. This will automatically hide anything that the game decides isn't light or an avatar, which is, it's pretty self-explanatory. Shaders, a little bit more complex. Shaders, turn or off shaders. I use. Okay, I thought they were gonna maybe go into more detail of what shaders are. Shaders just kind of make things look better, in a way. They're kind of like a finish coat on nail polish. You know, when you've got like your nails done and you got to get like the matte or the gloss coat. I'm so sorry for people who don't do their nails. It pretty much is like a nice coat on top of your avatar. Some shaders are more laggy than others. I don't want to go into that. If you're curious about learning about shaders, just look up what are shaders Unity, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of answers there. And finally is custom animations. Custom animations, going back to the Pokemon one, if you have custom animations, the entire part of the trainer throwing the Pokeball, that doesn't exist. This all goes down to literally anything. This means custom animations if you have, let's say, a toggle where you could turn a hat on and off. I can't see it. If you have a color change option, I can't see it. If you have food that you spawn in and out, I can't see it. That is what animations are. It is literally anything that will change your avatar from what it is looking at now is pretty much an animation. I'm sure there's a better way to explain that, but that's like the dumb way of explaining it, so deal with me. As you can see, I have mine set up that I have everybody hidden just because I don't trust my poopy computer, but you can just go in and mess with this to your best design. I would recommend starting out with the normal shield rank just to see how you like it, and if you've noticed something that may be bothering you, let's say you really don't like the loud blaring of the audio and the avatars, you could stop it, or you could go to the audio settings, which we're gonna get to pretty close. As in right now, look at that, I know my menus. This is the master settings options. Now you can see this in the quick options down below, but you can also just use it here. They look pretty much the same. If you look here, it's just smaller. Oh wait, sorry, I was on the wrong one. There it is. It's just smaller. And this is the same, this is not the same at all. This is different. We'll get to that later. Obvious first choice, log out, log out. Exit VRChat, fully close VRChat. Shouldn't have to explain more than that. Going to audio though, we have the master volume, which is the volume for literally everything. All of these things accumulate to this little guy. So even if these were all at 100, if this was at 0, you wouldn't hear anything. UI and menu, you've probably been hearing in the background. That's what that is. I can make it more aggressive if I want to. World. That's the world volume. That is the volume that plays in the instance that you are in. Pretty much what that means is any sound that comes out from the world, whether it be music, whether it be like a sound effect, if it is part of that world, if you do not have the volume up, you will not hear it. So it's not just music, it's a lot of things. Voices is obviously voices. It's when you go around talking to people, you can categorize your voices to go up or down to make things easier on you. And finally, remember how I said earlier about the avatar sounds? Maybe they're just too loud for you. Maybe you don't like it. Well, you can turn this up and down to be able to hear their avatar sounds less or more. I have it at 0 because I hate avatar sounds. Next up is your microphone settings. Now you can see right here that even though I am talking, my microphone's not really working. It's because I got 2 microphones plugged in. So if I turn on the other one, there I am. Hello! The output volume is just, you know, how loud your output is. So if I had it like down to here, the people would barely hear me, but I have it at 100 because, I don't know. I don't know why I have it at 100. I'm probably really loud to people, and I apologize for that. You can change what audio settings you have here. An important thing to note, though, that is, at this current moment, from what I understand, if you want to plug a new mic in, you have to get out of VRChat and get back in. So don't plug a mic in and then expect it to be here. I've tried it before. It doesn't work unless they've updated it recently. That's what I've learned. This is a background noise suppression. You know what those do. It suppresses your background noise. And this is mic activation thread. So if I'm all the way up here, my mic is not activating. Or at least I don't think it is. No, it's not. But if I have it down here, this is kind of my default talking. This is how I talk usually, a little bit on the quieter side. It's activating. This is a great way to kind of cater to your own needs, because if, like, let's say you have like a loud fan, it's going, now you can't hear it. Mic behavior, simply put, is your microphone behavior. When you're in-game, you have customization to be able to curate however you would want to set up your mic. You have push to talk, which is simply put, whenever you're talking, you have to push a button to be able to talk. When you let go of that button, you stop talking. Pretty simple. Toggle mic is what I use, and toggle mic means you will turn your mic on and off whenever you choose. There are some hotkey buttons for this. It just makes it a lot easier to be able to unmute and mute, especially for somebody like me who has a good old-fashioned tick, which means I cough a lot. I'm able to mute myself, cough, and then unmute, and nobody will have a clue. When it comes to toggling mic, you also have state options. So when you join a new world, it can reset your state to whichever you choose. Having it off automatically means even if you were just in the middle of talking and you join a new world, it will automatically mute you again. Keeping it always on means that if you had muted yourself in the previous world and then went to a new world, it was automatically turned back on. And keeping your last status just means that if you had it off, you join a new world, it's off. If you had it on, you join a new world, it's on. Always on means you can never mute. Always off means you can never unmute. I don't know why these are options, but you know what? They put it in there. I support you for using it. The only other setting we have right now is reset other users' volume. We will get into that once I get a second person to help me out with this video, but pretty much when you are in a world with other people, you can select them and you can actually fix their volume themselves. So if it's somebody who's really, really loud or really, really quiet, you can curate that to better hear them more or less. Next on this long list is comfort and safety. One of the most important things I want to bring up in comfort, the only thing in comfort, is personal space. How personal space works is that once you get to a certain distance away from somebody else, they will disappear. This is extremely aggravating to deal with, especially when VR is such a social game where you do get up and close with people, that I recommend keeping it off. But if you are somebody who has had histories of not being able to handle having people super close to you, you may want to turn that on just to keep yourself safe. Apparently, though, this is not affected by friends, so if you have somebody who is on your friends list that is not respecting your space and you turn this on and they're still not doing it, you're just going to have to unfriend them. Sorry, I don't make them rules. In safety, you have streamer mode, which is simply put, when you turn on streamer mode, people can't see what instance you are in, you don't get notifications, you don't get friend requests, you don't get any of that jazz. It's just a way to keep you safe if you're a streamer. I should be using it more. Do I use it more? No. Whatever. Show community labs, as I mentioned earlier in the Worlds tab. If you want to look at community lab worlds, you have to manually select this to be able to see the worlds that are not publicly available yet. If you do not select this, you cannot see the world. That is how it works. Right under that is avatar cloning. We will go into that as well once I get an actual person here, but simply put, if you see an avatar that somebody has that you like, you could ask if you can clone it. If it's public, they can allow you. However, if it's, let's say, an avatar that they don't want you to clone, they could turn avatar cloning off, and that means you cannot clone it from them. This is kind of a hot debate that people have because, you know, public avatars, why should somebody gatekeep? But keep your own opinions. Leave them in the comments if you want. I don't think it matters too much. I think people should be allowed to curate whatever they want. Right under that is just auto-disable avatar cloning. When you switch worlds, this is just kind of a nice little reminder to have, oh, I need to make sure to turn on my cloning in case you were trying to share an avatar with a friend, and then you go to a world and somebody snatches it. Right under that, I'm not going to go into the real nitty-gritty about allow untrusted URLs, but simply put, if it's not YouTube, from what I understand, Vrchat doesn't trust it. And while you still can use those links, Vrchat will not show you said videos unless you actually take the time to checkmark this. A lot of worlds like Movie and Chill will not allow you to watch their videos unless you have this checked because of the nature of how they make their stuff. So it is kind of a risk that you take because you never know what somebody's going to try to put on the big old screen. But also, just make sure you just keep yourself safe. Portal prompt is when you hit a portal, it'll ask you if you want to go in the portal. Very helpful if people try to like trick you into falling into a portal, but I also think it's comedic effect when you accidentally fall into a portal, so I never have it on. Portal mode is how you place a portal. I guess it's different. I don't think it really matters, but I'm guessing this one is just kind of you can drop it somewhere and this where it's dropped right in front of you. That's what I'm assuming. You can mess with that if you want. I just say keep it like this, it's just easier. And finally, home instance type, which is a new thing that I never even noticed. So when you're in your home, when you log in for the first time, it used to be automatically invite only, which means that nobody could join when you join the world, which is great because every time I join online, I immediately get requests before I've even loaded into my own world. It's crazy. However, now you can change your instance type. So you could set it to invite plus if you wanted it to be, I'm gonna actually set that to invite plus because that makes it easier. You can have it so people can join you if you just want to chill in your home world, or you can have it to friends, so only friends can join you when you load in for the first 5 seconds, Friends Plus or Public. Just a note though, if you make a home instance type Public, or a Friends Plus, or Friends, and then you decide to go home because of an issue with a friend, they could just easily follow you if you're on blue or green, so keep an eye out for that. Next, we're going to start getting into some nitty-gritty stuff that are a little bit more intricate, so I'm going to be just giving loose overviews of what they do, just so you know. But I don't really want to spend a million years kind of explaining the absolute in-depth details, so just like everything, if you want to learn more, you got to do the research yourself and figure it out yourself. First off, we have the avatar block button. You can automatically have certain avatar types blocked, so if you want very poor automatically blocked or poor and the below automatically blocked, it'll do it. I have it as don't block because I block everybody's avatar already. I don't know if this means if you show avatar, it still won't show their avatar. I would have to mess with that, but in reality, if you keep your safety settings up to date and just stay careful, you'll be okay. But if you have a very, very, very hard to work with computer, you may want to consider these options. Next up, you can have max avatar download size. This is how big avatars can be before it automatically blocks it. I think 200 is the highest. Oh, it's not. Oh, I don't know why it was at 200, but I'm sure someone smarter than me told me to keep it at that. So if it's bigger than 200 megabytes for me, it will automatically not download it, which means I cannot see it, so I'd have to manually show it or go back in here and bring up my download size. Dynamic Bones is actually kind of a weird one because this is not a program we use anymore in VRChat, but back in the day we used to use Dynamic Bones, which was an asset in Unity to allow everybody to have wiggly hair or wiggly body parts. However, VRChat has uploaded Fizzbone, which is the new program. It's not really new, but newer than Dynamic Bones. And so any Dynamic Bones that are still existing are being converted to Fizzbones. You can turn this off if you want to. I don't know why you'd want to turn it off, but that is the option that you have. You also have the max simulated bows and collision checks that will be kept in check, and if they exceed that, it will automatically remove said dynamic bones, which means you can't see all the wiggles. Here you have your cache data. You should be clearing this every once in a while, as you can tell. I don't do it. Whoops. The advanced graphics settings, simply put, is just, curate this to your bits and bobbles that you'd like. You can go as high as ultra, or you can go all the way down to low. I have it at medium because my computer is not doing so well, so I'm trying to go a little easy on it. I should probably be going a little more than high, but that's fine. Particle limiter means that only a certain amount of particles can be seen before it's auto-blocked. Forced camera distance, I have no idea. I'll be honest. There it is. And mirror resolution. It'll choose a resolution for your mirrors. So if you want really, really good mirrors, it'll be at the best possible. If you want it to be like okay as it is, it'll be as it is. If you want it to be half resolution for all mirrors, half resolution, or quarter resolution. That'll just make sure that you don't die every time you open a mirror. I am starting to get a little dry in the throat here, but we're going to user interface next. User interface is pretty straightforward. I lied. I don't know what any of this means. Regardless, nameplate is straightforward. When you're looking at somebody, you will be able to see their nameplate as a default over their head. If you do not want to see their nameplate, you have two other options, icons only or nameplates. Just straight up gone. Icons only is if they're a VRC Plus member, you will only see the cute little picture that goes over their head. Hide nameplates, however, will just hide it all so you won't see anything over the head. A lot of people like to keep nameplates hidden at all times because it just helps with immersion and keeps people, happy and seeing in the moment rather than just seeing it as a game. Your quick menu info is what you see when you open up your menu. You can see above their nameplates how well their avatar is, what their user rank is, etc. It's just a quick way to just take note of maybe somebody may be lagging you. You could see really quickly who has the poorest avatar. If for some reason somebody's fallback is showing because they do not match your requirements that your computer has to be able to play the game for either your safety settings, quest, whatever, they will have an icon that you can select to be able to see if they're fallback or not. As you can see here, I have it selected, so whenever somebody's in their fallback, I'll be able to tell if they're in their fallback. This is what their fallback icon looks like. Next, we have general settings. The first one where there is tooltips. Tooltips are pretty self-explanatory. When there's a button that you can press, it will say these little notes at the side, and that is what the tooltips are. So I can click hi mirror, hello, and that's what that does. I can click off mirror, and that's what that does. This is a great way to be able to tell. There's respawn in action. A great way to be able to tell what buttons do what. A lot of people will have tooltips on and some people will have tooltips off. It is all based on your discretion. Just don't get mad if you have it off and you don't know what to do. Desktop reticle, as you can see, I'm on desktop. There's just a little reticle. It's right there. Hello, I got a little nose. Next is skip go button and load. How go button works is when you load into a world, if for some reason you feel like you constantly get thrown into worlds by accident a lot, or you don't like going AFK and being loaded in a world, you'd like to go AFK, use the bathroom, then come back and then get into the world, you can turn the go button off or on. I have it off by skipping go button and load, so whenever I load a world, let's say it's a long world to load, I can take my headset off, use the restroom, get a snack, come back, and I'll be fully loaded in. However, some people, they don't like that. They'll keep it off, let it load, and then they'll put their headset back on, they can click go, they can go in then, and everything's fine. It is completely based off of preference. There's no better or worse option here. Slider snapping is, as you can see up here, it's going from between the 5s instead of just being whatever. If I do this, as you can see now, it's not going to the 5s. So that's really based off preference as well. I don't really care enough, but it's just easier on in my opinion. Wing persistence means it just saves whatever you were looking at last. So since I turned it off, now I cannot see what I was looking at before. Now it just shows whatever I was looking at, like my base options now. But if you have it on, I could click profile and then I could go here and I could go back there and there it is. But if I turn it off, I click here and here, it goes back there. And finally, you have your visual details. I'm pretty sure I changed this at one point. I don't know why it's changed again, but you could just go in here, click one, and there it is. Huh, I can be a little cat thing. That's cute. Next up is controls. If you've played any game, you know you can change your controls here. I'm not going to go into what each thing does because we've already covered that, but hey, there it is. And here it is, the page that started it all. The biggest asked thing ever since the EAC update, the accessibility tab. Accessibility just means that if you have specific needs, you can cater using this page to be able to fit your needs better. For example, some people cannot handle moving around and need the light tunneling effect to be able to see. I've made a whole video on motion sickness. I've actually made 7 because I did a week-long thing about it. So if you're curious in that, I will be uploading them to YouTube shortly over time. So look forward to that, I guess, or just look at my Twitter and TikTok to be able to see. Visual adjustments are great to display how bright or dark you want your game to be. So while this world doesn't really have any bloom, if it did, it would change how bloom is. Bloom is pretty much just like a glow effect is the simplest way to explain it, and some worlds have very heavy glow, and some worlds don't have much glow at all. I'll be honest, I haven't fully figured out color filters yet. I don't know if it's because I just haven't used it in VR. But you are able to deal with color blindness with these color filters and help you be able to see things easier. You can also simulate color blindness, but I can't figure out how to get it working. If you know how to get it working, let me know, because this will be really helpful in future worlds to be able to see if I'm making a world that may be completely useless to colorblind players. Lastly, we have chat box information. In Vrchat, we'll go over the radical menu in a second, but the chat box is something that people who do not want to speak or cannot speak are able to actually type in the chat box what they want to say. I've seen people be able to use a voice-to-text thing. Whenever they talk, it automatically turns it into text in the chat. I don't know if that's an actual thing or if that's a mod, which, I mean, I'm not surprised people have continued throwing mods in this game, but hey, maybe that'll be a real feature in the future if you actually option it. Or give it as an option, that's the word I meant. Regardless, since a lot of people use chat box, you can actually cater what kind of visibility you have. So you could only see yourself, you could only see friends, or you could see everybody's. I think everybody's just good because you never know who you're going to meet that may need to be using the chat box to talk. Next up, we have chat box position, which could be on the chest or over the head. I recommend over the head. Some people like it over the chest. It's really based off preference, but over the head's just a lot easier to see in my opinion. Messages will be displayed for 30 seconds. That should be plenty of time for you to read, but if you're a slow reader, you can make it more. If you're a fast reader, you can make it less. You can have the chat box size be bigger or smaller. You can have it be opaque or not opaque at all. You can have it have a notification sound, so you know if somebody's talking, you can see go or whatever. And you can have how loud you want the notification volume to be, and you can show yourself your own chat box. So if you really like looking at your own message, there you go. Finally, we have the debug menu. It looks pretty nice, doesn't it? Next up, we've already covered the search key, so we're gonna go to VRC Plus. I have VRC Plus, it shows me I have VRC Plus, and it shows me when I'm getting billed for my next one. Oh, it's tomorrow! Well, there you go. But yeah, there's not really much I can say about that one because, I mean, you really gotta have it to be able to see what it does. And then we also have a bunch of health and info. It'll give you news of what's going on. It's got essentials for essential information about how to be able to play the game. So if you are still watching this video and you still don't know how to do stuff, oh, here you go. They really laid it out safe and simple. You got safety, again, explaining how to do different things. You got the groups, again, how to join, how to make, how to block. You got worlds, how to find new worlds. You got support, how to contact support. And you have comfort settings. There it is. Look, it's got comfort. It's showing you how to do it all. It's all right here. Everything you need that's in this video is also right here. So you don't even have to watch this video. But I appreciate you that I appreciate that you did. Finally, we have a gallery. This is where you take photos. Look, there's my photos. There's some more photos. Pretty simple. Now that I have this poor unsuspecting fool here, this is how it works. You open up your menu, select user, I can now select them. You see this capsule? That is how you select someone. You can also see at the top that they are a friend, they are trusted, their avatar is very poor, they can show what group they're in, and it'll show their tag, and it can show if I'm looking at their actual avatar or their fallback avatar. It also shows if I can touch their fizz bones or not, but we're not really going to get into that because that's a lot of detail. Clicking on it, you can see their information. Once again, you could just click on this to get their whole tag if you want, or you could just use this easy thing that I now have messed up, so now I need to open it back up. Mic level, as I said before, I can make it louder or quieter depending on if I want to make them louder or quieter. And then I can have user individual actions, which is how I can use my own personal safety settings to be able to display how I want them to look. Right now it is basic safety settings, so since they're my friend, I can see everything, but if I wanted to hide them, now they're hidden. And vice versa, if I wanted to show them and I didn't have them as a friend, I could show them. I could favorite their avatar if it was a public avatar, or I could clone their avatar if it was a public avatar, but that is a private avatar, so I cannot do that, or the public cloning is off, so I cannot do that regardless. I can remove them or add them to a favorites, I can mute them from here, I could block them, I could give them Vrchat Plus, I could view the avatar author, so who made it, obviously since they uploaded it themselves, that's how they made it, and you could report the user, but please remember to use that sparingly. Don't report because you're being salty about something stupid. You could friend or unfriend from here. You can view avatar details, as I mentioned before, to be able to see what their avatars are like, and I could hide the avatar globally. An interesting thing is hiding avatar globally means that if this was a public avatar, I could permanently hide this exact avatar all over the place. So let's say this was a public crashing avatar, I could publicly hide this avatar by just clicking on them and going to this menu. And I could also invite them to my group or any groups that I'm part of if I so wanted to. Finally, in terms of avatar interactions, that goes into fizz bones again, where I could touch part of their body that has fizz bones. I'm using current setting. You can mess with this if you want. And finally, since I am the instance moderator, which means this is my world, I could warn them, I could kick them, or I could force mute them. And that's literally everything that you get from this tiny little menu. It is very useful. Make sure to use it to your greatest availability. You can also go to different users in the instance by going to this. There's only 2 in here, so that's how we work on that. But thank you so much, Polka, for helping me out on that. Hey there, guys. It's Quest Nuoance again, and while I was recording this quest area is actually the last thing that I did, and I realized I never even brought up the radical menu within the original video. So I could just as easily go back to my index and record, but since I'm already doing some quest recording, I decided to just do it here instead. Now, it is very awkward, and I'm sure I look great in camera of trying to get this so you guys can see it. But this is the radical menu. What you do is you hold that top Y button or whatever button you have on your, VR of choice to pick it up. You have 4 options from the immediate. Ooh, hold on, I gotta fix that. Let's see, where is that? Is that in config? Flit select, there it is. Okay, cool. You have 4 different options here. You have options, which is your settings, expressions, which is your expressions of whatever your model has, emojis, which is emojis, and tools is little tools that help you. This is pretty self-explanatory if you want to just look in this yourself, but the big ones I want you to point out was chat box. I can type in hi, and then I can look up, and it says hi. And so you can have your settings set up so that you can see other people's or just friends or nobody's at all, but you can also clear the chat box and it'll disappear. That is very important if you are not able to speak, you don't want to speak, whatever reason you may have, you have accessibility to be able to still communicate with people, minus just trying to use your hands and your body. Right next to that is what's called nameplates, and nameplates is pretty self-explanatory. It is the name plate above people's heads. You can use this menu to hide them, make them bigger, smaller, see-through, whatever you want to do. It's just a way to customize your experience if you like nameplates or don't like nameplates. You also have gestures on and off. If you have your gestures off, then you won't be able to use your hands to make any emojis. You'll see when I'm doing videos, you'll see my hands changing, and with my hands will change whatever's going on. So see, since I have gestures off now, it's turned my hands off, which is a very interesting thing that I didn't think Quest did. But now that it's on, I can move my fingers again. I guess I'm too used to index, because I don't remember fingers being like actual gestures. Next up is mic. It just mutes you. We also have OSC. This is for if you have anything related to OSC. If you are new, don't even worry about that right now. We also have config, which is just kind of more information that you can look through. Like I just went here to turn off flick select because I hate flick select. You have one-handed movement options. You have HUD. You have a lot of different stuff you can look at. It really is just customizing to your experience. So mess with these if you want to. I don't mess with them, minus flick select, so there's nothing really in here that you need to worry about. Your personal mirror, which is a lag box, but there it is. There I am, personal mirror. Hi! So you can have a mirror at any part, anytime, anywhere you want to go. I'm turning that off now because I'm lagging like crazy. And then you can back out, and that's all of the options. Next up we have is expressions, which this avatar doesn't really have any, but this is where all of your customization for your avatar will be. Let's say you have toggles, you have clothing changing, whatever you have. For right now, I just have the basics, so I have like wave and die and stuff. Next up is emojis. These are just all the emojis you can go, so I could be like, hi, and there it is. A very, very simple setup. And finally, you have your tools. This is just a bunch of different things that you can mess with. So it shows my camera, my chat box, and my mirror, and a face mirror, if I wanted to keep an eye on myself at all times. So now you can see those expressions I was talking about. Maybe. I don't know if you guys can see them there, but it's there, I swear. But yeah, that's everything for the radical menu. I am so sorry I forgot to do that in the other one. It would have been so much easier versus this Quest mess, but we're already here, and I mean, I got dressed for about 5 minutes of entertainment anyways. I might as well make it 10 minutes. Welcome back, everyone, and I apologize greatly, but we do have 2 more things we need to cover before we end today's video. We have the tiny menus, which are necessary to be able to know, what's going on. So, obviously, we have the basic information down here, we have the basic notifications over here, we have the information about the world that you're in. All of this is information you've already seen. We have the camera information, which is new, and I am a fool for not even thinking about bringing it up. Now, I am not going to go into the details of the camera settings and the camera information because that is a whole other video, and I think I've made that before. But in the long and short, you have a photo camera that you can bring out and take pictures, both PC, Quest, or PC VR. You have your icon camera to take a photo for your icon if you're a VRC+. You have a gallery, which is the gallery we looked at earlier. You could take screenshots, and you can manage your gallery. Next up, we have what is probably the most important thing, and the reason I came back to this, because all of this stuff you could probably just look at yourself, but here we have a very, very special ability. I've made my World Master 0 because I don't even have headsets connected, so if I turn it on, you're going to hear it double, and it's just a lose-lose for everyone. But if we scroll down at the bottom, we have something known as Earmuff mode. I can't really showcase this right now because, like I said, I don't have my headphones connected, so you would hear it double. But when you have earphones mode on, you will see a gray and red line. The red line means that anybody outside that line is immediately muted or muffled. You cannot hear them whatsoever. And the gray line, I think, is kind of like the fall off, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so the gray line is where you can hear people a little bit. So if I have it right here, I can't hear anybody who are past that red line. But if I have it here, as long as they're in between the gray and the red, I'll be able to hear them a little bit. And then the outside volume is how loud or how quiet they're being between that fall off. You can also make the big distance for the red bigger or smaller depending on how big the group is you're hanging out with. The visual aid's just really helpful to have, but you can also turn that off if you wanted to. And I have to wait for this to go away because I don't remember what this is. Include avatar audio. I don't exactly know what that means, I'm gonna be honest, it's 1 a.m. Last but definitely not least is the basic settings. These are just kind of the quick settings. They have all the information we've seen before. They have the nameplate display. They have the HUD mode, which means I could hide all of this, I could hide some of it, or I could hide none of it. They have nameplate settings if you want to go back in there. They have QA info, which is just the extra nameplate information that we brought up before. They have the group nameplate banners if you just hate groups and never want to look at them. This is probably the most different section, which is the avatar interactions. I brought up Fizzbones a little bit, but I said we weren't going into detail. That's because there's a lot of detail to go over. But if you do have Fizzbones or you want to interact with other people Fizzbones, you can cater it here. You can have it so nobody can touch your Fizzbones and you can't touch anybody's. Just friends or anybody can just play with your hair if they want. You can also just quickly pause or allow interactions if you just need a quick way to be able to cancel everything. And you can allow yourself to self-interact or not self-interact, just in case you might mess with something you're not supposed to be. Accessibility is what we brought up earlier, which is the tunneling effect when you move. We've brought up screen brightness and screen intensities. We've brought up the color filter. I still don't know how to use that, by the way, and I recorded this almost a week ago. And then we have the performance tab, which is also different. You can hide avatars that are a distance away, or you could limit a number of shown avatars based on count. I don't really mess with that, but you can mess with it however you like. You can always show friend avatars, you could override with the show avatar, or you could turn it off so you can't override it for some reason if you're having some like self-control issues, I don't really know. Chat box is the same as the previous chat box. You can choose who sees it, you can choose what you see or where you see, you can see how long you've seen it, how big it is, how clear it is, all that jazz. And we got the debug menu once again, which, you know, I should have, in hindsight, brought a little bit more of attention to, but like, if you don't really know what it is, me explaining it's not going to help because it'd be the blind leading the blind. But you can pin your FPS and ping, so every time your menu's open, you can just see it up there for like a quick little look, like, oh, my ping's so high. I guess just to complain about it, I don't know. You can also report bugs here, and you can log if anything's going on. So if you turn logging off, it won't log it. But yes, that's pretty much everything. I could get in VR to make a good outro, but I'm not going to. I really want that beef stew, and I've already had one bowl, and I'm looking at a second. So thank you so much for joining this hour-long journey with me. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm sorry if it's a little bit of a mess, but I tried my best to just condense it in a way that is organized, clear, and concise. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask, unless it's questions about things that I've already said I don't understand, because then I will just tell you I don't know a thing about it. Otherwise than that, make sure to drink your water, eat your broccoli, and have a fantastic day. See you all in the next video. A quick shout out to all of my REMs out there. Elise and Vrchat, thank you so much for your continued support.